I'm Walter Seidenschwarz, and I had volunteered to do a story on, I guess, what has become my favorite Christmas hymn, I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day. I've always been fascinated not only by the verses in it, but by the history as well. And so I read some of the material that I've gathered together over the years. In 1861, 2 years before writing I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day, Longfellow's, this is William Wadsworth Longfellow, his personal peace was shaken when his wife of 18 years was fatally burned in an accidental fire. Then in 1863, during the American Civil War, his oldest son, Charles, volunteered to join the Union Army, much against his father's wishes. Charles was soon appointed as a lieutenant, but in November of 1863, he was severely wounded and could no longer serve in the military. It was during Christmas, on Christmas Day of that particular year, Longfellow wrote this particular poem. It has been officially called Christmas Bells. It was first published in February of 1865. Some of the verses are references to the Civil War, and when we read those verses later, at one point I thought perhaps we should skip over those verses. But I think as we get to them in a few moments, you'll find that they're still very appropriate, I think, in some of the things that are going on today. You will also notice that each of the 7 verses ends in the same refrain, peace on earth, goodwill to men, which is a reference to the King James Version of Luke 2:14. Now, I realize that today we want to update things to make them to be politically correct, but if we were to use one of the modern versions of that particular verse, it reads as follows, on earth, peace among those whom he favors. And that doesn't quite fit the melody of the song once you get into it. It was not until 1872 that the poem that is known to have been set to music. And English organist John Baptiste Calkin used the poem as a processional, accompanied with a melody that he had previously used as early as 1848. It is the Calkin version of the carol that is now considered to be standard. And also, since I am a retired English teacher, I have to bring in the point that the song does appear in some rather unusual places. Ray Bradbury, in his 1962 novel, Something Wicked This Way Comes, makes this statement about the song, with which I thoroughly agree. He says, it is immensely moving, overwhelming, no matter what day or what month it was sung. And I think that's quite true, even though we're now, into April. I think the words are quite fitting. Personally, I find the song played very little over the holidays. That's kind of to my disappointment. It seems like songs like Silent Night, Joy to the World, Away in a Manger, we hear almost on a daily basis. But when I have Christmas music on for the several weeks prior to Christmas, it seems like I can hear Christmas bells, if in luck, about once every week or so. As we turn to the 7 verses, if one wishes to be more politically correct with the wording, then one may prefer translating the word men in the refrain with the word all. The modern wording referred to earlier simply does not fit this tempo. Note also, and I think this is very important, that in the final version, Longfellow changes the phrase from of peace on earth to the phrase with peace on earth. Now, to share these verses with you. I heard the bells on Christmas Day their old familiar carols play, and wild and sweet the words repeat, of peace on earth, goodwill to men. And thought how, as the day had come, the belfries of all Christendom had rolled along the unbroken song of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Till ringing, singing on its way, the world revolved from night to day, a voice, a chime, a chant sublime of peace on earth, goodwill to men. And the next two verses now specifically referring to things of the Civil War, but see if you don't find them appropriate as well today. Then from each black accursed mouth the cannon thundered in the south, and with the sound the carols drowned of peace on earth, goodwill to men. It was as if an earthquake rent the hearthstones of a continent and made forlorn the households born of peace on earth, goodwill to men. And in despair I bowed my head. There is no peace on earth, I said, for hate is strong and mocks the song of peace on earth, goodwill to men. But here's the final verse. Then pealed the bells more loud and deep. God is not dead, nor doth he sleep. The wrong shall fail, the right prevail, with peace on earth, goodwill to men. And thus ends my favorite Christmas hymn.